what were the circumstances around the recording of No Gods and No Monsters? Were you in the room together?
We started the new album in 2019, and we went to our guitarist Steve. His family has a house that wasn't being used in Palm Springs, which is about 2 hours from LA.
Right.
We went there for 2 weeks, and our engineer Billy set all our gear up, and we would just jam every day at noon. We'd start mucking around, Duke and Steve and me making music, and then Shirley would start singing, sort of hearing what we were playing.
Right.
And it was very casual. But every afternoon about 4 o'clock, our engineer Billy would make us margaritas, and then the sessions would take on a whole nother tangent. But it was great. And out of that, all those 2 weeks, we came up with about 35 or 40 songs, ideas, not songs.
Yep.
And then we brought them back to LA, and we started pulling the little bits and pieces we heard that made sense. A verse or a chorus, or Shirley might have had a lyric somewhere. And then we took those, and then we started doing what Garbage does, and just starting to add layers and work on the songs and develop their relationships of all the different parts until
right
sounded sonically like a song. And then Shirley finished her lyrics. And so we finished recording March 15th, and LA went into lockdown the next day.
Right.
And I thought we'd have the record done early before COVID, like a month later. We'll finish the overdubs and mix it, and we'll master it. And and then COVID put a chunk, it just squashed the time. It compressed it into a longer period. We're all isolated, and it took us. We really didn't finish all the recording until the end of August, and then we mixed it through September and October. It was all through file sharing, and what do you think about this, sending rough mixes to each other, and Shirley finished her lyrics and stuff. But I think the good thing is, because of that, COVID sharpened the record even more. Just the tone of the arrangements and Shirley's singing, and when she finished her lyrics. Because it wasn't just COVID, it was looking at the news. You're sitting in your house watching the news every day with Donald Trump and all the craziness of the world that's going on around us. And so the record is very much a reflection of what we saw, Yeah,
well, I noticed obviously there's some political and kind of social content in there. And I'm wondering, as a band, do you guys sit around and decide, well, we all agree with this is all cool? Or is there any kind of humming and hawing about whether or not that's the way to go?
I think when Shirley gets lyrics done and she feels good about them in general, almost all the time, we respond to them in a favorable way, because we all share similar sensibilities. We're all left-leaning liberals. We love certain things in art and food. There's just things that we share. We wouldn't be a band together for 25 years if we didn't share those sensibilities. So when Shirley gets focused on a song, Duke and Steve and me sonically try to match what's going on arrangement wise with what she's singing. And so we're pretty much all on the same page. And as Shirley sharpened her lyrics and the record became more social political, we felt like the music had to match that.
Yeah, I mean, just the first track, The Men Who Rule the World, pretty strident and forceful lyrics in there. So to get people.
Yeah, I mean, Violator, Destroy the Violator. Shirley saw a rally in Chile on the news where all the women, like 100,000 women, marched in the streets about oppression down there from the government, and she was taken with that, and she just came in the studio that day and said, I want to sing this on the end of the song. And we're like, wow, okay. And so we had to ramp up the music. We had to ratchet it up. It couldn't, whatever. It just needed to match her singing. So. And the whole record kind of followed that course. All the arrangements kind of followed the wherever tangent she was going on, we had to follow her on that.
Cool. And the other name or word that comes up a lot is God or gods. There's no gods, no masters. There's, I think, crazy kind of God is mentioned in Wolves. There's waiting for God. There's Godhead. So that's another thing that people can have divided opinions about. Was that an issue?
It wasn't an issue for us. I mean, I personally am not particularly religious. I was raised Lutheran, but I don't really practice any religion. And I think when Shirley thinks about that, I don't think it's so much about a reaction or anything to do with being specifically attached to any religion. I think it's more of the religion is just another power structure. You know, it's like a government is a power structure. Religion can be a power structure. I mean, it doesn't matter what your religion is. You know, there's a lot of different types of religion that seem like they're going to be really good for you, and yet they're all power structures too.
Yep.
So it's really, and I can't speak specifically for Cheryl, and none of us are that overtly religious in the band. None of us go to mass,
right,
or to whatever. But I think when you saw how fucked up 2020 was, man, it's like you have to question, though, is there a God out there? Whether you're religious or not, and the God may be within yourself. And one of the songs, "Waiting for God to Show Up," the lyrics in that are heartbreaking.
Look what they did to a boy, and nobody's blinking an eye. She's choking on sadness with no hope for justice. Just look what they did to her boy.
Yep.
It's just devastating what we're seeing in the world around us. So, and then you wonder, when the world does get that messed up, is there a God? I don't know. So they're just things to think about.
Yep. And of course, I mean, the four of you have been making records together for over 25 years now, which is mind-boggling on its own level. So you must know each other pretty well as far as how everybody feels about certain things and how to approach certain subjects with each other. Has that changed over the years, the way that you relate to each other?
Well, it has changed, but I think for the better. I mean, when we first started out, especially the first record, Shirley came into the band not knowing Duke and Steve and me, who were good friends. And it took her a while, I think, to sort of find her focus and to realize that I am the mouthpiece. I'm the lead singer. I'm going to write the lyrics. Right. And I'm going to be in front and center on stage. So what we write as a band, it goes through her, and she's sort of taken that mantle and taken it very well. She's the MVP of Garbage. We wouldn't be a successful band if we didn't have an incredibly charismatic, iconic singer like Shirley. So, but the reason we're together after 25 years is that we do, we respect each other. We hang out together. We like each other. That's not to say that we don't argue a lot, because we argue like banshees.
Really? What do you argue about? I mean,
because we argue about, I don't like the sound of that. And there's a riff. The sound is shitty. Get a different sound, or it's too busy. Make it simpler. No, it's not busy. It should be busier. It's too simple. Or don't play a major chord, play a minor chord there. But it's good by going through that process of how we all take a song apart and put it back together and argue about everything. It ends up sounding like Garbage. And that's the part of the process of how because it's all four of us in each other's face. Right. That's how we make records.
I mean, because you would think
it's not for the timid, by the way.
I'm sure it's not. Yeah. But you've worked with some fairly enigmatic folks in the past, even before Garbage, and been in studio situations. How much of that background and experience helped to make you be able to make Garbage go on for 25 years?
I guess, from my point of view as a producer, when I'm working with another band, whether it's Foo Fighters or Green Day or Against Me or Silversun Pickups, whoever it is, Um, it's their music, and I need to focus on making sure they sound great. Their vision, they're going to find their vision. Whatever that vision is, I have to help them get there. And I also have to deal with personalities within bands.
Mhm.
And so part of that it happens in Garbage, but in Garbage also, I am not just a producer. I am a drummer,
Right.
guitar player, keyboard player. I decide on what wine we're going to have tonight.
Wow.
It could be I'm the engineer for the day. It could be that I'm writing the music. I'm coming up with the chords or a melody or whatever. So, and that changes on a day-to-day basis. So they're two different things. But I guess getting into your point, I think one of the things I realized as a producer is to listen to what the band is saying, listen and understand what they're saying. And I have to do that sometimes at the Garbage, listen to what Shirley and Duke or Steve are saying, and then how I take that and I put that back into the music that we're working on.
And do you guys take on different roles in the band? And if so, and I'm sure that you probably do, have those roles evolved over time?
Yeah, but I think what's great about Garbage is that I can have all these different roles. Like on any specific day, I can go, I'm just going to play drums today.
Right.
I'm not going to worry about the engineering, what it sounds like. I'm not going to worry about the song structure. I'm just going to play drums and come up with cool drum parts. Or I'll come in the next day and go, I'm going to play guitar today and just play guitar. Or I might come in and go, I'm going to sort of produce this track today. I'm going to get behind the board or behind the computer and I'm going to cut and paste. I'm going to sonically change some things. I'm going to put some effects on. I want to sort of give it a vibe. And every day that's different for me. And I think it's different for everybody in the band, which is why all of us, I think, look at Garbage as being a very creative playground, because we share a lot of, we can partake in a lot of different avenues, you know. Shirley will play guitar, keyboard in the studio. She gets opinionated about the mix, about arrangements. All of us, we all have our hands in all the pies that Garbage serves.
Yep.
All of us have our fingers in every slice.
And that's got to be fairly unique to have four people who can kind of do everything. So that, you know, like you said, today I'm just the drummer, whereas tomorrow I'm the engineer and I'm also the producer or whatever, or guitar player or whatever. Is that it must be a plus, but how do you guys figure out who's going to do what on any particular day without kind of stepping on someone's toes?
Well, the one thing I know is that Shirley is going to sing.
Right.
And she wrote the bulk of the lyrics. She wrote all the lyrics on this record. I mean, sometimes Duke and Steve and I will contribute lyrics, or we'll have an idea for a song, but ultimately she's singing, so she's going to write the lyrics.
Right.
I don't even know how we really sort of figure that out from time to time, but I think it's good because we don't have a plan. And sometimes if you don't have a plan, you have to make it up on the day, anytime you're in a session. And that's what's exciting for me about the studio. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I think if you have sort of a regular 9-to-5 job, it might get somewhat predictable and you kind of know what you're going to do when you go in every day. I never know whether it's with Garbage or another band. When I go in the studio, I think, oh, this might happen today. And usually there's a detour and something else happens. And that's why I still do it after over 30 years.
Cool.
That's why I love going in the studio, because it's kind of a mystery in terms of what's going to happen. And that's what's exciting about it.
Right. Now, the first few songs are kind of angry and they're dealing with social issues and things that we've discussed. But then you get down later in the album, there's a song called Anonymous XXX, which is not like that. And I was just wondering how that kind of came about. And when you were putting together the record, did you think about those things in terms of the running order?
Love is pain, pain is love, love is immortal, love is God, hope is eternal, eternal life, halfway in is halfway nice.
Well, Anonymous is a song very much inspired musically by Talking Heads and especially Roxy music.
Okay.
The start of the song is like diggy diggy diggy. There's this little strummy guitar that Steve did. To me, that sounds like Talking Heads. and there's some percussion in the song that reminds me of Talking Heads. But when it kicks in with it, there's this big synth sax riff that kicks in the song. And I'm a huge Roxy Music fan, and I kept listening to the album Country Life, like trying to sort of catch some vibe from that. When I hear that reference, I hear those references in Anonymous. And when Shirley sings that first verse, I swear to God, Brian Ferry could sing that verse too, and it would also sound great. I mean, Shirley nails the verse, but I could hear Brian Ferry sing it. Listen to it the next time and think Brian Ferry's singing that, and I swear to God.
All right.
Maybe we should have had him in a duet on that song.
That would be something. I mean, I'd pay to see that.
Yeah. We're all huge Roxy Music fans. And so hopefully we captured a tiny bit of their essence in the track.
Cool. And speaking of seeing things, how much input do you guys have in the videos that you guys make? Because they're somewhat full on. You've done one we've done 2 for the album so far.
2, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. We collaborate with our directors, and we have made a lot of videos. And back in the day, videos were big productions. It was sometimes 2 days shooting. It would cost $200,000 or $300,000, and
right.
And now, just because the economics of the music business is just not sustainable to make videos like that, which is a good thing. Plus, technology has evolved to make videos. You can make a great video for $5,000 or $10,000 now, whatever, or even less than that. You can do a great video on their home computer, on their laptop, So
I think some people have done it on their phones.
Some people have done it on their phone. Yeah. And so that's a good thing. That's kind of leveled the playing field. But what we wanted to capture is the essence of Shirley's lyrics in these tracks. And so I feel like the first 2 videos, for The Men Who Rule the World, the animation is pretty cool. It's pretty cutting edge, and some of the images are quite provocative, yet it doesn't seem provocative because it's animation. If you have those real footage of documentary footage, or actually really phone footage, it can be a little unsettling. And I think there's sort of a message that you can put out in the animation that makes it a little more interesting, in the sense that it doesn't hit you over the head as much,
right.
And you can interpret it in different ways, which I think is cool. And then the video for No Gods, it was a performance video. We all got together. It was the first time I'd seen anybody in the band, all of us, for 16 months. It was weird. We all took our masks off. Or is it okay? I have the vaccine. We all have all had a vaccine, so I think we felt okay about it. But after being isolated for over a year, it was weird, and then it felt great to be playing with my bandmates again. And it's just a simple performance video, but it was fun to do that.
Cool. And are there going to be actual performances in front of actual people soon?
Yeah, we're hoping to go out in the U.S. in August and September.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to go out on tour last year. Garbage is going out with Alanis Morissette and Liz Phair.
Yeah, that's good.
That got canceled. So, but that tour is going to happen, we think, fingers crossed, in middle of August and September. And they're all outdoor amphitheaters. So I think we feel pretty good about, safety and protocol and stuff. We're going to wait and see how it all comes to fruition. But I think we would like to see the world getting back to somewhat of a normal sensibility, and I think there's a lot of fans who want to see music again, but we want everybody to be safe. That's the most important thing. So
right.
But fingers crossed, we're going to be doing some shows in August and September.
Yep, I think we're running out of time, but you mentioned the tour possible with Alanis and Liz Phair, very 90s oriented, obviously. What do you feel about that decade of music? You were an integral part of a lot of it for a lot of people. When you look back at it 25 years later, or however long it was, how do you feel about it? Because everybody has their own idea about, the 80s, 70s, the 60s.
every decade has music that's great and music that sucks. And I'd like to think that some of the music I work on was some of the music that was great and didn't suck. But obviously I'm not very, I don't think I have a very good objective perspective on that.
Right.
I do think that for Alanis and Liz Phair and Shirley to share a stage together is kind of a statement, because they're three powerful writers and icons from the 90s, and they're still viable today, and they're going to go out and perform. And I think there's going to be an audience out there that wants to see that and embrace that. And so that's where we're looking forward to it. As I said, fingers crossed, I hope we're going to be able to do the tour.
Cool. And bring it down to New Zealand. We want to see.
Right on. We hope to come to New Zealand and Australia in 2022. I mean, we love playing down there. We haven't been down there for a while. Our dear friend Michael Gudinski passed away, and it's hard for me to believe that happened. I was just gutted when it happened. He signed us. He gave us a green light before we even met Shirley. He championed us through 25 years, and he had the new record. We sent it to him a couple of weeks before he died, and he called Shirley a couple of days before. He goes, "The new record is great. You're going to come down and kick some ass." And so I feel like we want to come down to New Zealand and Australia and kick some ass for Michael.
Please do. Please do.
And to come down and connect with our fans again. So
fantastic. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Right on. Thank you.
All righty.
Okay. Be safe.
Bye-bye.